When I was younger and thinking about what I wanted my life to look like in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, I myself, like probably many of you, based it on the things that I was seeing on TV. Online wasn't as big of a deal, when I was 12, 13, 14, and that age, it kind of came around during that time, but for the most part, TV was still the mainstay as far as entertainment and influence for my generation at that time. I am Gen Z, but I'm the very tail end of it, so kind of the forerunner of the Gen Z. But Gen Z is kind of an interesting generation because we do remember a short time before the internet really eclipsed every other form of entertainment and source of information. But during this time, you thought that if you went to school, got a good job, made six figures, you go get a house, you go, get the 2.5 kids, the wife, the picket fence, all that good stuff. That's the known story of how things go. But kind of the underlying theme during that was that if you, or rather when you go to school, get the job, make the money, you get a better place, you get a better, city you move to, you get all these different things, you start upgrading the lifestyle, you get a better car, you get the kids into a nice school, all these things, school is definitely important, but more so what I'm getting at is that you begin to upgrade the lifestyle as you upgrade the income. Just makes sense. You get the car, you get the house, you upgrade all these things. You want to live up to the amount that you're making in a way, and you also, in a faint sense, probably want to also live up to the people around you who may have the same occupation as you or not, but they are in your sphere for one reason or another, and you see how they're kind of living their life, and you assume that that's how it is, that's how you should do it, and that's how you need to live. That's your next step, is whatever they're doing, and you kind of go from there. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but I don't think that is going to be the most streamlined way towards financial freedom, which ultimately, in my opinion, is the goal. Not to inflate the lifestyle, to look good, to have these appearances, and to do any of these things. The most important thing, I think, is to become financially free, whatever that looks like for you. And I think that if you can achieve that, if you can get to that point, then you are miles ahead of these people who have the Lexus, have the 4-bed, 3-bathroom house in the nice neighborhood, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, even if their annual household income is $250,000 or more. They could still be living paycheck to paycheck. It's hard to fathom that someone making six figures, $250,000 plus, could be living paycheck to paycheck, but a large percent of Americans, at least, are in this very situation. So how do they get there? And how do you avoid getting there once you get to that bracket of earning potential? Well, it all comes down to what we were just talking about as far as inflating the lifestyle, inflating the car, the house, the expenses. It's not really about how much you're making, it's about how much you're spending. And we just want to improve the lifestyle as soon as possible. Some people actually take it a step further and they start improving the lifestyle before they even have the money. Now, I guess if you have some sort of 5-year 5D chess plan of how you're gonna fake it till you make it, you're gonna buy the house, the car, or rent probably the house and the car, and give off this lifestyle to advertise or to market or to sell something along those lines, maybe that's something that could work. I'm not really recommending that, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm more so just talking about people, before they have the money, they just want to live up to this standard from what they've seen on social media, what they've seen on TV, what they've seen on any of these number of different platforms. It's crazy that someone could be making $250,000 a year and living paycheck to paycheck, but it's not that crazy because it can happen rather quickly. You start getting a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 apartment, you get a $400, $500, $600, $1,000 plus a month payment on a car, among all these other things, eating out, going to nice restaurants, living the life, displaying that you are living the life, all these things can quickly add up. So let me present an alternative to this situation, because I don't think that's a situation that anyone wants to be in, even if you are making $250,000 a year. Congrats if you are doing that, but maybe I can offer another way to look at an approach to a lifestyle at that income, below that income, before that income. This will apply. So instead of buying a new, renting a new apartment to live in with a nice view, with great amenities, with a gym, with parking, with, all these different things, maybe before doing that thing, before going and putting down a big deposit on this apartment, so that you can look good, feel good, I think those are important, but what I'm going to offer will get you there, but it's just going to take a little bit more time. If you are to improve the quality of your life, well, you're going to be spending a lot more money. And in order to continue spending more money, you're going to have to continue making more money. And if you are or are not in the confines of a 9-to-5 job, maybe you have your own business, but if you continue spending, you need to continue making money. Now, for most of us, to continue making money, we need to continue working. Well, what if you can't work anymore? Or what if one day you decide you don't want to work anymore? What are you going to do? That's your entire, economic power, is just your time spent for money. And you need to continue doing that to continue living the life that you're living. And if you continue to increase the quality of that life, then you're going to have to probably increase the workload, the amount of hours, or if you have a business, you're going to need to increase the revenue and just kind of streamline things there and just continuously be working on it, which is not a bad thing. But I think that if you, especially if you're starting out younger, start making a little bit more money, rather than improving the quality of your lifestyle, if you were to improve the quality of your assets, you will be in a much better situation 5, 10, 15 years down the line if you're going into it with that mindset, especially if you're making $100,000 plus a year, to where you do have, or at least should have, some of that expendable income to set aside into stocks, real estate, or just investing into yourself, skill acquisition, becoming more of a provider in the marketplace. That still obviously goes back to trading your time for money, but that could help you accrue more income that you can then apply it to improving the quality of your assets and not the quality of your life. But in a roundabout way, improving the quality of your assets will improve the quality of your life, but it's just kind of a more long-term strategy, more delayed gratification. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I would assume that pretty much anything worth doing in life is going to have some level of delayed gratification involved. I could probably count on one hand the amount of truly fulfilling things in life that are associated with instant gratification. It's very few. If you have any, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what fulfilling things in life are associated with instant gratification. I'm struggling to think of them, because great things that truly fulfill you, not things that just fill you with this quick sense of happiness, a dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine rush. True fulfillment is going to come from these long-term delayed gratification situations. This is another one of those, and I think that it's very easy to just want to inflate the lifestyle, continue working, but what if you get to be 55, 60 and you don't want to work anymore, or God forbid an accident happens, takes you out for even a few months of not being able to work? It puts you in a tough position. And if you think about the true value of what you're getting by putting yourself in that position, it's not very much value. Maybe you have a better view, you live in a better part of town, maybe you feel a little bit safer, maybe a little bit more comfortable, these things. But is it really worth putting yourself in a situation to where you need to show up to work every day? You need to be working at this specific place, doing this specific thing, following these rules, really without an end in sight outside of a retirement or some sort of pension or something along those lines. If you are continuously investing in assets that can pay you, that can cash flow for you, then ideally you get to a point where you don't need to work anymore. I mean, we all want to work, contrary to popular belief. We do want to work, but you get to work on the things that you want to work on, or things that can, be more applicable to your life, because many of us are working positions that, we don't necessarily have a true affinity for, a true desire to master, and not something that we truly would like to dedicate our lives to. But if you can reach financial freedom as soon as possible, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever it may be, after that point, when everything has been taken care of, when the passive income amount exceeds that of your expense amount, you're truly free. Now you get to decide what you want to do, how you want to spend that time, who you want to spend that time with, and this is a place that many of us never get to. We dream of it, we think of it, but the work that it takes to get there, and more importantly, the sacrifice and lifestyle change it takes to get there, usually gets in the way. But I do think that this is something that everyone would like and everyone would benefit from, but it's not something that you're going to see from conventional streams of information, conventional sources of information, the news, school, social media. You're not going to see these things because, well, there's a number of reasons, but mainly because the economy needs workers. It needs people to continue moving things forward. You need people in the stores, you need people on the streets, you need people, all these different places. And so society in general is not going to just advertise this lifestyle, because, that would be pushing you towards self-reliance, independence. And it's harder to, extract from people and exert control over people who are in those situations where they are independent, self-reliant. And so even just outside of asset accumulation, there is a general theme of kind of ignoring or really not putting much attention on the idea of self-reliance, financial freedom, because the more self-reliant you are, the more independent you are, the less dependent you are on the system, those who control it, those who profit from it, and all that good stuff. I think you can, once you realize that that's the case, you realize that it's not that self-reliance isn't important. That's not why you're not hearing about it. Quite the opposite. It's actually so important that if everyone was on board and if everyone knew about this, then the entire makeup of the economy, the entire makeup of our society would shift in a certain way that perhaps would not benefit those with the influence currently. So as kind of a tangent, it's not really what I'm getting at here. I'm more just talking about not increasing the quality of your life, your day-to-day life, the new car and all that stuff. It's not important. What is important right now, especially if you are in your 20s, early 30s, or late 30s or 40s, doesn't matter, is improving the quality of your assets, your house, your houses, your stocks, your investment portfolio as a whole, something that can pay you. Bitcoin, stocks that are good and everything, they don't really pay passive income necessarily, so real estate is probably going to be a great way to go for that. But the main thing that you want to be focusing on is using the money that you're gaining from day-to-day work, from trading time for money, is to take that money that you're trading your time for and put that into something that can pay you regardless of whether or not you put more time and effort and all that good stuff into it. Because if you truly want to provide for yourself and for your family, at a certain point you want to get to a point where you don't need to wake up and show up to a certain place every day to make the money, because anything could happen. And like I said, God forbid it doesn't, or God forbid it does not happen. God forbid that happens. We don't want that. You're going to need a way to make money. So if you can start now, I know it sounds weird, you want to go out, you want to do all these things, you want to go on the lavish trip, vacation, and I'm not saying that you can't do that, but you can't have it all. You can't have the new car, the new apartment, the new house, the vacations every other month, yada, 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 and then also be improving the quality of your assets to the highest level. If you can manage all those different things, great, more power to you. You are the 1%, so congrats. But 99% of us, there's gonna be some kind of trade-off, some kind of sacrifice that we're gonna have to make. And so I think it's worth it. I would vote for rental properties if you can swing it, even if you can get something to where you can buy it with a low down payment, live in it for a while, rent it out later, and then get your foot in the door that way. Even better if it's a multifamily 2 to 4 unit type of thing. That could be great. But that's the main thing that you want to look for, is improving the quality of your assets, not improving the quality of your life. And that's going to be a great way to get ahead. And so that's all I got for today. I appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully you got something from it. If you did, let me know down below what you think. Do you think that there's value in instant gratification, or is delayed gratification really the way to go? Curious to see what you think. I know what I think, but always want to hear what you guys have to say. So leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.